If you ask people to name the worst game in existence, you might have a range of answers that come up, but there's probably going to be one of two that people will settle on. One being tic-tac-toe, because there's really nothing there. Once you have any sort of skill at playing tic-tac-toe, the game will be a tie over and over and over again. It doesn't change. There's nothing you learn from it. There's no skill to be found there. It's just something you teach someone so that they learn how games work and how to reason a little bit, and then you discard it and move on to something else. The other game that comes up is Candyland, because you shuffle a deck of cards, and on a turn you draw a card and you move your token whatever spaces are indicated on the card. There's no thoughts, there's nothing that happens other than skills like learning to take turns, or be a good loser, or be a gracious winner, or other sorts of general personal interaction skills like that. But there's nothing in the way of a game, because once the deck is shuffled, it's all set and there's no choices. But what's interesting is you can take this terrible design, this unfun thing, and with the right approach, make it fun, make it enjoyable, make something that people would want to play. That's what Freedom and Frieza has done with Frisiert, which has an English title of Full Throttle. Frisiert can mean styled, but it can also mean souped up. And so we've got moped racers on their souped up bikes, and you are betting on which moped is going to win the race, scoring points if you guess correctly. Here's how it works. To set up Full Throttle, you choose one side of the game board. They have slightly different tracks. This side is longer. It has a little bonus space where you get to move ahead 2 spaces. If you land on one of these, it has 2 choke points to keep mopeds from moving easily. This other side has separate inner and outer rings, where the outer ones are slightly longer. It has a single choke point. Whatever side you choose, you put the bikes on at random. Don't get attached to a bike just yet. You're not a color initially. You give the spark plug to someone, you shuffle the deck, and you are set to go. The deck contains 14 cards of each color and movement values 1, 2, and 3. You are going to turn over a certain number of cards based on the player count. So in a 4-player game, we reveal 7 cards one by one. And as you reveal cards, you move the mopeds that distance that is shown on the card. So orange will move 1, but both the spaces in front of it are occupied, so it doesn't move. Red moves 2. You can go through occupied spaces as long as you can land on something that's empty. And red is now starting its first lap. Everyone else is still in their 0th lap. So green goes 1, black goes 1, and is forced on the outside lane. All bikes move as efficiently as they can, so every bike would choose the inner lane if possible, but otherwise they're forced out. Orange can only go 2. Black's on the first one. Blue can only go 1. Blue goes 2, and man, okay, that was a lot of wasted movement there, and that will often happen in the game as bikes get blocked. Now, whoever has the spark plug takes the cards revealed, and they secretly, so I would pick up these cards and you would not see what I choose, but since I'm explaining the game and not actually playing, I'm going to choose a card as what I am betting on, as the moped that I think is going to place first, second, or third in the race. I take that card and put it in front of me. I pass the remaining cards to someone else, and then they take a card, and then this person will choose a card, and this person will choose a card, and everyone's choosing, and whatever cards are left get placed in a discard pile. You pass the spark plug to the next player. You reveal another 7 cards. Oh, poor blue. 1, 2, 3. Green is up. Green again. Blue is still hosed. Yellow. 1, 2, 3. Green 2. One more. Blue 1. Finally. So much wasted movement for blue. And again, the player with the spark plug now on the left, they're going to choose something, and then someone else chooses something. You can always look at the things that you've chosen previously, and whatever's left over goes on the side. So far, this might all seem like Candyland, and that you shuffle the deck and then reveal the cards one by one and play out the movements based on certain rules. So there's no choices. There's nothing going on. All the movement of the bikes is fixed, and you are betting on them by pulling cards out and putting them in front of you. But why does that matter? Round by round, you reveal cards, move mopeds on the track, pull cards out as bets, and place the remainder on the discard pile. But you're betting on which mopeds will finish in first, second, or third place after 3 laps around the track, and there are not enough movement points in the deck for any moped to make it to the finish line, regardless of whether they are blocked or not. So you might get down to the last set of cards in the deck, and here's the situation. These bikes are all on their 3rd lap. They've just started. Red and green are lagging a bit behind. You reveal those last cards. All right, yellow moves 3, black moves 3, yellow 2 has to go on the outside because it can't land on the space. 1, 2, 3. All right, choke point, yellow, black, 1, 2, 3, green. All right, finally. Someone catching up there. Here's the standings at this point. All the cards have been gone through. These two are very close to finishing. So players are going to draft cards one more time. Of course, you're looking at these, not just taking them randomly. But now for the movement, you're going to take all the discards, all the things people have thrown away, not chosen, and you're only going to use that deck to move. So all those cards that you've pulled out to bet on, they're no longer useful for movement. How many yellow cards are actually left in here at this point? What about black? Did everyone feel so confident in them? Were they ahead the entire time? Everyone was betting on them. Maybe people didn't take red or green because they're in the back. You don't know what other people were doing. Well, you've got some information. I'll talk about that in a moment. But you shuffle this up. Let me get one more shuffle. And now you move only with what you reveal here. Blue 1 has to go to the outside. Orange 1, blue 2, okay. Red 2, finally on the 3rd lap. Orange 2, red 2. Okay, still no winner. Well, who are we betting on now? And so you're going to choose from that. And then you're going to reveal more cards. Red 1. Coming from the back. Oh, blue almost across. Yellow, slowly. Green in the 3rd lap. Green has to stop. Orange pulls up here. You get this tight finish where how many yellow cards are even left in the deck at this point? Now all we need is blue to cross. And so again, you're probably taking those surefire winners. You're taking the blue and the yellow. But you don't know what's in here because it all depends upon collectively what everyone is bet on. And so you get these wild finishes where, oh, it doesn't move at all. You think you know what's happening. Blue. All right, blue has won. Blue comes off the track, is in first place. And once a bike has crossed the line, you keep flipping cards until you get a 2nd and 3rd place. No one can bet anymore because, of course, this is a surefire winner. This is definitely first place. Nope, you're just going to keep revealing cards. Oh, black stopped again. Red 2, orange 2. All right. Red. Oh, look at this. Red come from behind. Black. Maybe. Oh, green. Green. Oh, yellow can't. Oh, look at all these ones. Everyone's stuck at the finish line. Green. Out of nowhere. From the back. Okay. Orange finishes it off. Here we go. First, second, and third. And now you go through all your bets. Every card you bet for the first place is 4 points, 3 points for second, 2 for third, and whoever has the most points wins. That simple design twist of Full Throttle is what makes the game so engaging because you're looking at how the cards come up. You can only bet on whatever is revealed. You may want to bet on a particular color, but if none of those cards were flipped for the round, you can't bet on it. You can only take something else. And you've got some interesting bits of information that go along. You see all the cards that are revealed. The first player has full choice of everything, so that's great. The next player knows exactly what card they took, assuming they can remember which colors were flipped. So they've got some information about what the player to their right is getting, at least when they're choosing first. And then you get down to the players at the last choice in the round, and they know what's going to go in the discard pile. And so they have some idea of what's in the deck and what will be moved more likely once you get into the second pass through the deck, maybe that's someone you want to bet on. If there's 2 red in the deck, maybe you take one of the red, you know another red's going back. Of course, you take the 1 and you put the 3 back in, but things come up randomly and you may not have choices. Now, you're only getting little bits of information at a time. So in this 4-player game, you had 9 cards that you got to choose before you got into the deck again. So you've got little bits of information that you acquire based on what you've pulled out of the deck and what you've seen pass through and what you can imagine going back in and what you think other people are going to bet for. And all these little bits of uncertain information put together. So the game is chancy and randomish, and yet it's completely controlled by the players. Sort of. Because the cards are going to come out in a random order, and some bikes will have their movement blocked, and some will race ahead. But of course, the deck contains the same cards of every color. You know, the odds of everyone moving are kind of the same. And then those odds change as the deck goes on, as you realize that, man, we've really seen almost no green cards at this point. So green's due to accelerate. Maybe I want to take this lone green card, even though it's in the back right now, because it'll probably jump ahead. And so you're all just playing off of each other in this pool of hope almost, where you think you know what's going to happen, and you affect what's going to happen in this indirect way by making it more or less likely that a moped is going to win. Except again, you're shuffling that deck, and so there is that chance element of how things are going to come up. Now, I've played Full Throttle 8 times so far in a review copy from 2F Spiele with 2 to 5 players. There were slight modifications with 2 and 3 players. In those cases, you reveal 6 cards with 2 players or 7 cards with 3 players, and each player drafts a card like normal, and then the last player looks at those 4 cards that they have in hand, and they throw one of them out of the game, with the remaining 3 going in the discard pile. So you have a little bit of extra information and extra control over what gets removed. Now, after you've put aside 5 cards, when you put aside the 6th card in this 2 and 3 player game, you reveal the first thing that was removed. So everyone now knows that you pulled out a blue. And they can take that into account when they're making choices in the future. So you've got this interesting little extra twist of control, and it's very different sort of feel with a 2-player game, because I know what card you took if you choose first, because we reveal 6 cards, you pick one of them, and I get the rest. Okay, well, if I know you took black and there's another black one in here, you can be sure I'm going to throw that black one out. So maybe you don't want to do that. Unless you took that black one only as a bluff. You want me to think you're collecting black and I'll keep throwing black out, and maybe that was only one black you took. So it's little mind games over what you think the other person is betting on, and then what you're betting on, and what information you're trying to give to them. So it's all about this interaction with the players, which can be more or less direct depending upon how big your mouth is while you're playing. So as I mentioned, I played 8 times. The first time I played is with a very quiet couple. So a 3-player game, very quiet, said almost nothing. And it felt like there was not much going on. It felt like random flipping of the cards, and then someone won. And it felt very dry and sad. And then I played with people I knew well who were friends, and we were much rowdier and just like, come on, and cheering the bikes and just like laughing at people, because we knew I knew you bet on red, and red just got hosed there, and I did it again. And I'd just say I'm throwing out red, or I'm taking red just to hurt you, or whatever it is. And it was much more dynamic just because of who I was playing with and how we were interacting with each other. And we were really at the race cheering for these mopeds. And in one of those games that I played with those players, we had removed every single card, I think it was yellow, every single yellow card from the deck. So there were 3 of us who were betting heavily on yellow, but of course we had killed yellow's chances. So yellow stopped 2 places from the finish line and never moved again. And we're just like, come on. And it just it felt good, but again, that's also the experience of the other people at the table. And then I played with other groups and it was good, and 2-player, again, a different feel just because it's more of a mind game of what you think the other player is doing and what you are taking out of the game. I will mention as well, in those 2-player games, we did not reveal anything because I overlooked that section of the rule where you're supposed to reveal the cards. But that was even more entertaining just because collectively we didn't know what we had removed. And so again, you're cheering on certain things. You're hoping for something to come out. You're taking bets on how you think the probabilities are going to go. And you just don't know. But of a couple of game sessions where I was playing this and I was playing other things, this was the most engaging game. This was the thing that everyone seemed most involved with and that we cared the most about. And it was mostly because it was all this interaction between the players, even though it was kind of indirect, because we all cared about what was happening and what the results were, even though it was random in terms of which cards came out. So it's a really interesting design choice. You think again about just the nothingness of Candyland and how everything's fixed and it's not interesting at all. But you add in this twist where you have control over what happens to some degree. And it feels a bit like life itself as well. I always think about games and life and how, of course, you are an actor in your life. You have agency and choices and things you can do. But of course, you are interacting with all these other people out there and they have their own choices. And you've got this interaction between you where individually you might make what you think is a smart choice. And so does someone else and someone else and someone else. And you put all those choices together and it's a really dumb thing that you have made happen. And it can go the other way as well. But it's, again, it works so well. There's so many things where you look at stuff in the real world where just bad things happen from everyone doing what is best for them. Because that's the smart thing, right? I want the best possible outcome for me, so I'm going to choose this. And then it just doesn't happen. And so this, in a minor way, reflects that feeling. And yet, of course, the stakes are extremely low because there are no consequences long term. You're going to win or lose, and that's going to be that. I've also played this with members of my extended family who are not big game players as well. You can teach this game in 30 to 60 seconds. You're just like, put the mopeds out, and I'm going to flip cards and move the bikes, and you explain the rules for movement as you go, if you've played the game before or if you've read the rules thoroughly. And then you give the hook about you're going to bet on a card, but of course that card's going to come out. And that movement is no longer available because we're going to have to shuffle the deck and go through it again. So you're going to hurt the odds of that bike winning by betting on it. But you have to bet on something and know you're going to hurt it. And there you go. Now you're set and you start playing. And they had a ball, which was good. The game is not super friendly if you have color vision issues because there are stickers that you can put on the tokens. So you can be like, okay, great. Red is this particular symbol here. And you see that symbol on the red card. But the biker itself, well, can you determine that this is this biker? Not necessarily. There are two sets of stickers in the game. The stickers on the left all match what is on the card. But if this is on the table, is this the correct one? It is. All right, you're looking at this card and this bike is over here. Can you really make out the detail to know that this card corresponds to this moped? Possibly not. So you might have to mark up the mopeds and mark up the cards in some way just to have a better idea of what you're moving. Sorry, but that's how that works. So there you go. A review of Full Throttle, which I highly endorse. Again, it's not a high strategy game by any means, but it's a high energy game if you're playing with the right people. You know who you play with, so you know whether it might work for you.